ago. I know there's some confusion over whether this is a local business or not. Really, it was convenience of getting a proposal out to Stacy quickly. We didn't brand it with Newsletter Journal. If you guys do, and I'll be short and then just let you ask questions of Brittany. If you guys do elect to go with us on this, know that you'll be billed by the Newsletter Journal. That'll just like legal notices or anything else. Brittany and Ben work for me. They were interested in branching out into Wyoming. We worked together on a number of projects with the college athletic department is where I got to know Brittany's partner, Ben, first. We've already worked in Wyoming on some political campaigns. State Treasurer Kurt Meyer, we worked for Brian Schrader. Anyways, so these guys know their stuff, and if you have any other questions for me, I guess feel free to ask them. But mostly, Brittany is the tech expert. She will be able to sort of answer your form and format questions. Just do know if you have a problem, you need to call Brittany. One, they've got a big office. It isn't just Brittany who will answer the phone and be able to help you there. But if for some reason you're not able to get in touch with anybody, you can always run across the street and grab someone there, and they'll get me on the horn, and we can get things moving pretty quick. So without further ado, here's Brittany.
Hi, I'm Brittany C. I'm the owner of Ascent Digital. We're a full-service digital marketing company. We've been building websites for a long time. We use WordPress. It's our CMS, our content management system. We found that WordPress integrates well with other softwares, and it has a ton of plugins so that you can have the capabilities that you need for your city website. I think you already have the proposal. You've gone over it. Do you guys have questions for me or want me to show you examples of sites that we've had? How would you like me to proceed?
I think I'd like to see some samples of the sites that you've done.
Okay, yeah, I can share my screen. They're not city specific. We work with we have about 200 clients. We work with all kinds of industries, but I pulled the sites that had different capabilities that aren't usual for a website. They're not just informational sites. They have other things that these clients wanted to do. Like, for example, we have a realtor that has an IDX feed where you can pull feeds of open or houses for sale in our area. We have another client that they have an entire, like a login system, like an entire database for people to log in and like advertise on their website and all kinds of things like that, view events that are happening in Durango. So I can just show these to you. One second, let me. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so this is Petal Durango. This is where they help tourists find like different things to do in the area. And then they also let local businesses advertise on their site. So like they list the local business so that tourists or people that are visiting can come and see what's going on and click on that local business's website. So it's like a directory pretty much. And so they have a sign-in here. We have an integrated software that they use. And then you can see like bike rides. And so like this is an advertisement of a local event that's happening. And then this is one thing that I wanted to do for your website is just subscribe, having people from the city subscribe with their email so that they can get local updates of maybe you're having some road construction in one area and you just want to send alerts to citizens of your area. You can do that via email. And so I think this would be a really good capability for your site. Yeah, so I guess like they have all kinds of stuff like about us, blog, contact, you can access your account, you can advertise with them, you can list with them, and then people that are visiting can come and see restaurants that are published here. It's a really dynamic website. The next one, this one's they're an HVAC and plumbing company in Arizona. I really like this site. It's very interactive. I think the huge aspect of having a website is navigation and being able to find exactly where you want to go. So these pictures, like if I clicked here, it would take me to that service that they offer. Let's see. And in this one, their main thing was they wanted to post jobs and they wanted projects. And so here we've integrated a job software where we can just post all of their jobs here and someone can apply easily. And then with their projects, this was a big project for us because they have a ton of projects to list here, and each of them has a portfolio. And so like when I go to healthcare, there's a ton of healthcare projects listed here. And so it was a big website to build, but it turned out really well, and we were able to have the capabilities that the client was looking for. I just wanted to share this one because I think it's beautiful. It's one of our most recent designs. But this is an outdoor, they do landscape design in Austin, Texas. They do outdoor living design, pergolas, decks, all kinds of stuff. But it's just a really beautiful, easy to navigate website. And so I just wanted to show this design to you. I think that websites really should be informational and they should have the capabilities you're looking for, but I also think that they need to be aesthetically pleasing so that people stay on your site and they want to interact with you, and it just gives them that feel that you know what you're doing, and it builds trust pretty much. And then this one is the realtor I was talking about. They have an IDX feed, so you can click on the property search and you can go here and see all of the listings. And so she actually has a really dynamic one where you can search all of these details to find the house that you're looking for, which is really good. Let's see.
Bob, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So all these things that you've got on there, do the realtor come? So how does that work? Like, how do you get it on there?
That will, a lot of that will, and sorry, Brittany, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Well, and I know I'm right about this. A lot of that's going to depend on what you guys want to do as a council, what Stacy and her office, any of the other department heads want to do for utilization. Wherever you think that you can make your city operation efficient, which will reduce costs and save time, or make things easier on citizens, I think what she's trying to show you is the possibilities are kind of endless.
But does that mean the package kind of a thing that we go for? Is that?
You're going to ultimately be designing, she is going to work with you to design your city website. She's showing you the different, am I right, Brittany? You're going to work with Stacy, let her and see some, you've got some ideas, I know.
Well, so I'll go back to your original question. So it also depends on the softwares that we integrate as well. So like some people choose to have Facebook and Instagram feeds on their website that pulls automatically daily so it updates on its own. And that's the same with this IDX feed. It's pulling from a database, so anytime a house is listed for sale, it will pull that daily. So those are happening automatically. But with any changes, we charge a monthly hosting fee for troubleshooting, for an SSL certificate, for that security piece, because people might be putting in their important information, so you want to make sure that your website is secure. We do the monthly hosting of your website, and then we also do unlimited content changes. So we can make any changes that you have. Maybe it's minutes from this meeting or any videos that you record from this meeting that you want to put on those pages and update. We can do that, or we can also train you to do that. You're never going to be left in the dark with your website, and we go through, we can train you or we can do it for you, and we're highly responsive. We're an entire agency where we can just answer any questions or make changes right away. I think that's the great thing about working with us is that we can make changes within 24 hours rather than working with larger companies or one person that might have multiple businesses or whatever it might be. And then as for the design, we get websites that we ask you what websites you like with the design aspect. We get the branding, everything like that, and then we will design an initial mock-up for you, a homepage mock-up. We'll send that to you. You'll look through it. You'll tell us if you like the design, if we're going in the right direction, and then from there we'll move into the interior pages, and then from there we'll build out the content and everything like that. So it's a pretty seamless process, and we work with you through the entire way, and you call the shots.
I like that, we can go in and make changes.
That was one of the things I asked about. It's been a frustration point, I know, with not necessarily with the city, some of the other entities, with not just the newspaper, but I've heard it from some citizens that they've been waiting on something to happen on the website, and then we hear, well, we called tech support and we're waiting for them to do it. When I approached Brittany with the idea, I don't think you guys have built any they built nonprofit websites, but most of the work has been in commercial and for-profit business, but I don't think you guys have necessarily done a specific government site yet. But I thought they've definitely got the capability, and what I was interested in is that I knew, in addition to building a site and creating it for you, they're gonna train your people. So, and our people, WordPress is what we work at the newspaper. I've trained Walter, Alexis, everybody at the Newsletter Journal can put stuff on our WordPress site. And I think you guys have seen our website, pretty interactive. There's a lot of things on there. It's not hard. People make it sound so much scarier than it is. And so that's why I brought Brittany in on this, because I think it's really important that you guys know how to do it yourself. And when you have a problem, you have someone you can call to fix it.
Yeah, and I can't say this enough. We're very responsive as an agency. That's one thing that we pride ourselves in is communication and being responsive. And then we have worked with our Economic Development Alliance here in Durango on their website. And we've worked with a lot of city entities, but not for websites exactly. So we're a full agency, so we do a lot of video production and advertising and stuff like that too. So we're well versed in all types of content management systems, but WordPress is our choice for sure. But those were some examples. We make sure that your website's secure. We do the basics of SEO. We make sure that we have enough content on each page where there's 400 words per page so that you're popping up, which I don't think it will be hard because the city website that you already have, the URL has already gotten some traction, and that keeps all of the SEO that's stacked up over the years. So that will help, but we can help it. So search engine optimization, a lot of people don't know that term. So search engine optimization is just making sure that your website is technically sound, it has enough content, it has enough keywords that represent what your website is, and then all of that together, make sure that you pop up on the top of the search results when people are searching for specific things related to the city. I wanted a couple of things. I think that it would be really important to have a calendar of events that are happening in Newcastle. I think the newsletter subscribe pop-up or just somewhere on the page, on the homepage for people to subscribe for updates, alerts, like anything like that, school closures, road closures, like all of those things is really important. I think having pages for your minutes and the video recordings that you have for these meetings are important, and like anything that you have to portray to the public should be on your website. Let's see.
Sorry, Brittany, to cut you off. We have something going on here today that actually plays into this perfectly. The escape at the honor camp right now, for instance, Brittany would be able to give Gilbert keys, for lack of a better term, so that when an emergency, Gilbert's the emergency management coordinator here, so that when an emergency happened, anybody from the city, anybody you want to give keys to, could post that notice. So if, oh, what's the sirens for? People go to the city website, a pop-up window will pop up and say, escapee, click here to learn more, and it'll take them to the Honor Camp website or wherever they need to go next.
That also automatically put it on the Facebook page.
If you set the site up to automatically post to Facebook, then that will automatically post and send it out on the city's Facebook page.
Okay, because I know
Right, Brittany?
that's where
Yeah, so it's vice versa. So when you post on Facebook or Instagram, we can integrate that feed to the website where it will pop up. It will automatically pop up on your website. So if that's where you usually share your alerts or anything that's happening, then we can definitely make that seamless for you. But another thing we can do is have banners, like pop-up banners or whatever it might be, if it's something really important that people visiting the site should see.
Bob, if I can,
Yes, sir.
2 o'clock in the morning, we got a water main break. Can we put that on there to alert the citizens?
Yeah, she'll teach you how to do it. You can do it from your phone,
Perfect.
right, Brittany?
Yeah, and like we can do it, we can make sure that we have our bases covered in several ways. So like it's easy for you to go on Facebook and say there's a water line break on Facebook, and then you can be rest assured that that's already on your website. So by the time that I get to it at 8 o'clock in the morning, I can post it on the website, or you can. But it's something easy for you to do. It's just put it on your social and you'll know it's on your website for the time being.
Because I was wondering that very thing for stuff like Greg. That'd be great.
That's probably more what we deal with in
Right.
the prison breaks.
And the training's
No,
important,
but
but
at
again,
least
don't
we
be
know.
afraid of it. It really is easy. It's really a whole lot of
So
clicking
let
on
me
buttons
just
that
ask
say do this.
So like, we paid the initial $4,900,
Yes.
and then that includes like all this that we're talking about.
The website and the training and the setup, yeah. Right, Brittany?
Yeah, so the setup fee is us building the website, working with you on any edits, changes, any integrations that we have, any plugin capabilities that we need, and then we can train you on it as well, like to make sure, and we'll set it up so that if it is like a banner or pop-up, we'll show you where to put those alerts so that it's just kind of like maybe you have to copy one alert and then put in the new verbiage, but it will be super easy. And then the $69 fee a month is our hosting fee, which covers the unlimited changes moving forward.
And tech support.
Yes, of course, like you have our full support moving forward.
I have a question. Could we, if somebody wanted, like a business in town, if they wanted to advertise on our website, is there a way to put them in there?
We can't legally do that, I don't think.
That would have to go through the chamber.
Okay.
Technically, she could do it, but
Yeah.
I believe Pam and Greg are right. As a city, you're into some gray area.
We can't advertise for any single entity. We have to advertise for all entities. Typically plumbers, when somebody asks us who hires a plumber, we have to say, here's 4 plumbers.
But that list of 4 plumbers can be on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Can be. And you can also link to the Chamber's business directory, my business directory, and direct people through your site to those business directories where they can find their way. But yeah, you just necessarily can't go here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can put several other entities links on your website, and vice versa as well. You would want them to have your URL on their websites, like the chamber website for like city updates or alerts, like go to here, because that's really huge for SEO, for search engine optimization, is having backlinks, like links from other websites leading back to your website. Any other questions, or like maybe does anyone have any thoughts of capabilities that you wish your current website had that hasn't been brought up yet?
Our current website stinks. That's why we're thinking about getting a new one.
Quite a bit that our website doesn't have.
Yeah. So I think that a bunch of the examples that you gave us were aesthetically pleasing. It's pretty neat. Some of the things that you exposed us to and ways that we can get information out to the public. But then, I mean, just like everything, we're just one of our main concerns, or mine personally on the council, is price point. You know, because I think that we'd seen the initial price point and then the maintenance fees and everything, and then we just had kind of a kerfuffle with the budget. And so now I'm kind of scared about spending any more money. But no, I think what you do is great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think, so Stacy brought up the Douglas County website, and I can share that with you guys, but they have a lot of capabilities that I think that you could benefit from too. I could pull it up, or you guys could look at it on your own time, or maybe you already have looked at it, but it's definitely easier to navigate, aesthetically pleasing, and then it has like a lot of capabilities just to contribute to the community. So I think it's the right move for sure, and I definitely know that we could do anything that you ask when it comes to the website. So
What about linking with ArcGIS? We have 2 pages that we have for public to view, the cemetery plots as well as our tree inventory. Is that
Yeah.
easily integrated?
yep, we could integrate those. WordPress is really integration friendly, so it should work with those. I'd have to dive in a little bit more with those softwares, but if anything, we could just use Zapier, and that usually helps link things and helps them talk. So,
Your Pedal Durango site has all of that, Brittany. The bike route maps and everything. That's what a lot of those are. So that Pedal Durango site that you guys saw is loaded with those. So.
and we link Google Maps all the time for websites, that type of thing, so that people can easily find it, find that business. You have a payment system, we can integrate that and have a payment link, so that would be really easy.
And I guess, Ty, that'd be the thing I'd say. I've been in the budget position, and I've been on this side, heard about the budget position from government for years. And I know it sounds like Washington, D.C. math sometimes to say it, but this is one of those, because perhaps if your payment options are easy, if you're redirecting phone calls that department heads are having to take and deal with right now, if you're more responsive to the community and more efficient within your operation, I think $5,000 in a total city budget and in your total operation, boy, I'd be real surprised if it didn't produce at least that much in operational efficiency in the first year alone. So I would encourage you to consider that as you think about this moving forward, because this is one of those opportunities where I think there's a great potential to spend a little to save a lot.
Okay, I have a question. So you said that the billing will come out of Newsletter Journal.
Yes. Yeah, this is
So
newsletter.
what does that mean to, we pay the bill, and does the money go to the Newsletter Journal?
Yeah, well, I pay them for all their hard work too, but yes,
Right, I understand, but
No.
we want it to be
Yes.
a local
Yes.
business.
very much so, and my people across the street will very much appreciate that boost in our revenue. Because my hope is that, like I said, this is something that, I'll be honest with you, Ann, there's only so much I can do from within my own office, and this is a glaring need for Wyoming. I mean, the functionality of how automated we are on things where I live now it really is nice as a consumer, as a citizen, everything, and it's coming, right? I can either be on board with that with my business and help provide that.
iPhone, how about?
No, we aren't going to go there. But I could either provide that to you, or I can sit on the sidelines and someone else can come, and it's one less thing that my business does in my community. So yes, I can't put this expertise in my building, but I feel very fortunate to have this partnership and these people that'll work for me, for the community, and hope that there's many jobs that we do up here, because they really are good at what they
It would
do.
be definitely an asset.
But rest assured, the local business and my employees are going to benefit very much from this. Yeah. We are we're a 50-50 revenue share. I guess let's put it that way. The profit on this is split equally between me and my partners.
We appreciate you coming in and explaining, and I
Mhm.
apologize for being.
Thank you, Brittany.
You're good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Brittany.
You guys got anything else for Brittany, or should I cut her loose and we'll jump into the other stuff?
You can cut through this.
You good?
Thank you, Brittany.
Okay.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks, Brittany. I know you got family to feed and stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any other questions later on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very awesome. Thanks, Brittany. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
They're gonna come up tomorrow and fix it, but yeah, this is jeopardy. This.
I'm not dealing with nothing like that.
Tim actually has those printed and laminated sitting in the office. But
I'm not the same.
I have this on you. You want me to run and grab that?
yeah, sure. Yeah. Thanks, Walter.
No problem. That's impressive.
Yeah, good, good.
Hey, I got my popcorn on right.
Damn newspaper's got me on camera and I just spilled my water in front of me, so.
I can't really tell though.
Well, good. Thanks. That makes me feel a little more confident. Believing in this. I did, I'll keep talking because Walter just put the camera on me and it's stuck there because he ran across the street. I actually have some laminated printouts to give you guys, and I'm going to have Walter sort of scatter them around all the boards. Just with the open meeting law, public records law on it, front and back, so you'll each have a copy, stick it in your drawers, and refer to it. And that said, guys, thank you to the mayor and to you guys for having me. Well, I kind of miss you, so it's good to see you. I know that's probably hard to believe because of some of the things I have to do in my job, but I really do miss you guys. And I'm glad to have an opportunity to be up here and visit with you about open meetings, public records, because of the lawsuit, because of me moving away and not being in the middle of the street for people to duke it out with me over this stuff. This is all just sort of built into, and it's always been on the surface where this whole open meeting thing could turn into a monster that does nobody any good. I don't think that's the case with us in the city council or the community in the city council. I do think that is the case with the community and some other boards. We've certainly had some conflict that the newspaper has been involved with the city over this stuff. But it's been okay. We've been able to fight and then visit with each other again the next day, and I think move forward and I'll learn from it. So hopefully this is just the start of a dialogue. I can't be here at all your meetings. I'm always available to do this. Monday nights happen to be an open night for me. So if there's ever a need for any more of this, or if you want a discussion, don't hesitate to have Stacy set one of these up, and I'll jump on a Zoom call early in the meeting, or I can come and participate via Zoom or Google Meets anytime. You guys have all received emails from me, so you've also got my cell phone number. I'll tell you, there are board members and administrators in the community who text me in the middle of meetings and say, are we going to get in trouble for doing this? And sometimes they say yes, and they do it anyways, but they know, right, beforehand. There's no pleading ignorance.
They didn't say they didn't know.
Yes, and so it's at least honest, right? But a lot of times they go, oh, well, okay, I wondered, and so they don't. And like I said, I'm telling you that now, and it's news to you because I don't feel the need to broadcast that, but I do respect that they ask that question, whether they take the answer or accept it or not. So I don't know where, what specifically you have questions about right now. I'd be way more interested in talking about what you guys want to talk about than to sit here and push. I'm used to hearing about my agenda. I really do have one agenda, and that's truth and transparency. I think it's public business needs to be done in public. And I think there's very, very, very few exceptions. And I know that I'm going to disagree with everybody behind that table and that table on those exceptions from time to time. Because I've sat on that side of the table. So I know that, but I think it's good if we can disagree.
So let's talk about the use of electronic communications and telephone for making decisions.
Don't do it to make a decision. That's one that there's, and here, okay, so guess what? I'll go ahead and speak to this because I know there's some concern over. You guys did a great job trying to be very transparent with the whole dispatch thing, and I think, guys, guess what? I think transparency is about to produce resolution to a problem that's been eating at this community for a decade. Beneath the surface, untransparently, this has been a push and pull forever, right? I know there's some concern that there were votes taken to move forward with a compromise at the joint meeting the other night. So let me tell you right now, and this is the thing about the open meeting and public records laws. It lays out what's legal and illegal, but if you pay attention, it lays out a whole lot of remedies before anybody gets sued or fined or anything bad happens. So for an example, with the meeting the other day, that was a duly constituted city meeting because the city called the meeting and you guys were present, ran the meeting with a quorum. Now, a quorum of county people showed up as well, but there was no official. The county clerk did not send out notice that there was a meeting. The board chairman for the county commission, who is duly constituted authority, did not call a meeting and declare it an open meeting. So that was not a county commission meeting. Now here there's concern because the commissioners who attended voted and said, okay, that's against the law, right? Technically, yes, but the only thing that's against the law, the only penalty for what they did is that it doesn't count as an official vote. It was fine for them to do that, and maybe, moving forward, maybe they should make clear, hey, this is not an official vote, but in the interest of working with other entities who called us to this meeting, and to be fair to them and give them an indication of whether we will go along with this or not, can we see a show of hands from the county people? And count those votes, and then it's as easy. Again, do it in an open meeting. It's clear nobody's trying to hide anything. And then all the county has to do is at their meeting, their very next meeting tomorrow morning, is put that on as an agenda item so the public knows it's coming. Hold a discussion, rehash the discussion from the joint meeting, and hold their vote in an officially constituted meeting, and that vote then is official and binding. The only penalty for what they did yesterday is that there's no that it doesn't count. It's just like it never happened. Now, if they go to try to hide that vote, which would be stupid, it was on film, then all of a sudden, then you can get into stuff where people have to sue you to find out what you voted for and why. But there's no interest in that. We can tell. Thank you. It was done openly. They plan to continue with open deliberation. So like voting on things on cell phones, we say don't do it because don't do it. But truthfully, if you did it and then came to the very next meeting and said, hey, I discussed with so-and-so on the cell phone, so-and-so and so-and-so in 5 different conversations, and everybody seems to agree that we should do this, again, put it on the agenda, discuss it at the next meeting. Don't send a group. But group communication, we did get that out of this lawsuit. Group communication for the deliberate purpose of conducting public business is illegal. So just don't do it. But again, man, I'd way rather if somebody makes a mistake, if, this is an emergency, so it justifies it, and somebody does, come clean right away, and it's really easy to remedy it without having to go through all the motions. I can certainly see where someone would feel like, oh, I know it's the law, but this is important, I have to do it. I'm not encouraging anybody to do that, but if it does happen, call the newspaper right away. We'll tell everybody, and then say, we're holding a meeting tomorrow to do it all in public and tell people why we did it. Greg?
Mr. Bronner, one thing I'm working on is stakeholder meetings,
Mhm.
primarily with projects.
Mhm.
The next one will be the landfill one remediation project.
Mhm.
We have a meeting set up for June 21st. I know if we have more than 3 council members, it's a quorum.
Mhm.
But honestly, the council members should be at this meeting
Mhm.
to hear what is being said from DEQ, Tri-Hydro, and myself as far as the project. How do we get around?
Provide public notice.
Yeah.
Make it a public.
There are.
I'm just looking for clarification for myself, so I
Sure,
can
sure.
provide the.
You know, I'll go ahead and again tell you, there's 3 or 4 different remedies or solutions to what you're talking about, Greg. The first and cleanest is to just go ahead and ask the mayor to call a special meeting and advertise it. If you feel it's important enough that the whole council should hear it, ask the mayor to call a special meeting and advertise it. Not an emergency meeting, a special meeting, give a week's notice to people. And I don't say that because you have to advertise it in the newspaper. You know, you get your new website, it's going to be even easier. You can put it out there. But yeah, that's the cleanest, no questions asked. Okay, the one thing I encourage the city. Sorry, again, this is not this council. This is not this administration. Previous administrations have used committee meetings, and not just city. I mean, as a matter of fact, city's better than many, but across the state of Wyoming, people deliberately avoid holding a quorum so that they don't have to tell people what they're doing. And when that gets done over and over, newspaper people start to get suspicious. Naturally, suspicious community members start to get suspicious. So one thing I'd encourage is in committees committees serve a purpose. I think they're great. I've served on committees, but you know, no, and you don't set them up with a quorum so you don't have to notice them every time, but put it out there, put it on your website, put it on the door, schedule your committee meetings far enough in advance so you can let the public know when they're going on and invite the public to them. And then, if you have 3 council people sitting up here as a committee, and one happens to come in and sit down there, then declare yourself a member of the public, and just make dang good and sure you participate as a member of the public and are just asking questions and offering input, instead of up here making motions and calling for votes.
We were told when I first got on the council that we could, so we were having a committee meeting, anybody else that wanted to show up could
That
come.
was wrong.
Well, that's what we were told. I'm not saying it was right
That's
or
a
wrong.
fact.
So we,
No, guys, I'm telling you, right now, it's, again, this,
no,
because the
I'm not
law's
saying
not.
that yours is, I'm just saying
Right.
that that's what we did at that time,
We
you
can,
know?
sure, you can play gotcha too, and you can play gotcha with anything you want. If everybody's showing up at every committee meeting and they're just de facto city council meetings without public notice and everything else, the newspaper's gonna ask questions, write stories, and so are
Well,
citizens.
since Pam's been the mayor, we haven't
No,
done that.
and that's what I'm saying, but you carry baggage with you from the past, everybody does. You carry baggage from what other boards do and don't do. But you, as an elected official, Ty, you are also a member of the public. It's just like, I've seen boards do this. You know, I'll bring up Roger, I guess is the easiest example. When he was here as owning the ambulance company, had to completely left the room anytime those discussions happened, declared a conflict and left the room anytime those discussions happened. Well, I think the city of Newcastle and the citizens are seeing that being overcautious, because really all the law says is leave that chair, come out here, be a member of the public, declare yourself a member of the public, declare your conflict of interest, but stay in the room and participate. Because what happened with our ambulance service discussions by the city council for years and years? The biggest expert on ambulance and emergency medical service left the room for the conversations because he was trying to do the right thing. So Ty, if you're an expert on something, but you're not on that committee, then just make it dang clear. And you know what? Sometimes the citizen's going to question, you can't. People are going to do that, guys. People are just going to do that. But at the end of the day, you're public servants. Your instinct is to serve the public and do the right thing. And if you're sitting out there and making it clear that that's the role, that you're acting as a private citizen, which you're private citizens first, city councilman second, so you have that right and responsibility. Just be clear about it. Because I really do hate that. Oh man, if you show up, you know, that gotcha game that they played over there. Those guys, you know, but one commissioner showing up where two commissioners already were, I think they probably went a little far with the discussion for there being three of them there, but there was no intent to break the law. And it all came up at the very next meeting. I mean, that's the big one, guys. I mean, when boards make mistakes, the absolute immediate best remedy is to come clean with all of it at your very next meeting. And it really, that takes care of, that makes most of it go away. At least legally. You're not going to be culpable.
So I think we need to add something to the agenda tonight in regard to the siren.
It's gonna be under my report.
Okay, excellent. Because I'm just not comfortable when there's, you know, when they ask for a consensus on an issue, and I usually try to avoid answering emails in those regards. So,
But that's, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I think you've said enough that I can guess. Right? An escaped prisoner, that's an emergency situation. People think in emergencies, and to be honest, I'll hand these out to you guys. Open meetings and public record laws do allow for some leeway in emergencies, but mostly that leeway does serve to just confuse people, and sometimes the law ends up getting broke. But again, yeah, if you guys operated in a gray area today because the community faced an emergency, you've got a perfect opportunity here in the next half hour to rectify it and hold all those conversations publicly. You fix the problem before anybody knows the problem even existed. It really doesn't get any better than that. I mean, if government could operate at that level everywhere, I think we'd all be happy. So.
I got a question. Now, there's a difference between being a public official and we sitting up here and passing ordinances and the daily business of a city. I mean, you know, like Stacy does businesses and the mayor does business for the city all the time. If they want to ask us our opinion about something and we give it to them, that's not a meeting. That's the daily business. Putting up a siren, we didn't have a, you know, so what?
Well, yeah, I don't know if that, you know, that probably didn't require council action.
That's honestly, I just want to know.
Sure.
So the situation is that we had a siren that needed a pole replaced. The electrical company was here, so it was okay. Do we have a consensus of doing that? Is there anything wrong with that?
Gosh dang. No, I mean, it would fall under emergency resolutions. I mean, again, you're holding a conversation 3 hours later.
But what
You're making.
No, this was last week.
Last week.
Oh.
Emergency management.
This wasn't anything to do with the deal today.
Oh, okay.
Emergency management had a grant for sirens. And a committee was to get together to determine on where to put that siren. But since the committee didn't get together to put the location of the siren, as they were
Right.
working on other sirens, they wanted to know if it was okay to just replace the pole that one of the sirens was at.
Okay. So, and this is where I say, man, I hate talking about the legality, and Mr. Hughes is better situated maybe to that. Because I don't want to tell you broke law. So here's the thing, but that was my point with the open meetings and public records law. I don't want to tell you what you did was live, because it's another one of those gray areas, and I don't care. You're now talking about it on camera, and you are going to make that decision officially here tonight. You are making the decision officially here tonight. From Stacy's perspective, she wanted input. I don't even know if it was, here's one of the things that they'll tell you, okay, because it is kind of hard to navigate all this stuff and stay completely clean. You know, as Stacy becomes more accustomed to her position and is in it more, she's just going to do this stuff without asking. And honestly, that's what they say in board governance. They say, you lay out for your people, hey, you have the authority to do this and this and this, and basically ask for permission. That's the best way for government to work, right? This is still relatively a transitionary period for her as full city clerk, I'd say. And these questions are just always going to be there. So no, you know, and that's the other, somehow I and the Newsletter Journal are the open meetings public records cops because of the dang ridiculous way the law is written. Because it's not a criminal offense, it's a civil offense. So apparently nobody in Weston County sues people for this except for me. No, so what I can tell you is how the Newsletter Journal would view this and how we would portray this to the community. And I would sit here and go, hey, thanks for bringing it up right away at the meeting. Thanks for ratifying your decision, making it official. Thanks for making it clear to the community that you weren't trying to hide anything or act in secret. Now, if Stacy starts coming in every meeting with a list of 3 things that she's texting me about to ratify, I'm probably going to call my friend Stacy in the United States. That's probably getting a little loose with it. So, no, these things happen. Thanks for fixing it tonight. Some other citizen might get bent out of shape over it, but from the newspaper's perspective, sometimes things happen. Thanks for asking the question. Thanks for fixing it tonight. That's transparency and that's honest. Sometimes that's the best you can do, guys. Follow the spirit and intent of the law. And I'd say you're trying to do that here.
So what I got out of that is it's generally just not a good idea to ask for consensus from the council members.
Unless you really feel like you need to. But I think this was a situation where you did, right?
It was just the right time, and it needed. It wasn't where we
Right.
had the next meeting.
The
something you would call a special meeting about, and then you have
emerge.
the expense also.
This may be something. This may be something that we have a discussion with Brittany, or if you go somewhere else for the website, about putting an immediate. This is something I think we could set up. You could ask Pam for an emergency meeting, which she could declare an emergency electronic meeting take place in 1 hour, and everybody log on just to vote. Call the meeting to order, log on, vote. Call the meeting. Technology may be possible to make this less of a gray area and actually let you handle situations like this completely legally. Because the one thing I'm afraid of is telling you that was illegal. No, don't do that. Because the one thing the open meeting and public records law is not meant to be, and I hate when it gets branded with this, it is not meant to make things more expensive and make them take longer. And if there's an opportunity to save citizens money, and because you have to act quickly to do it, because there's a situation, I don't want these laws to keep government from being able to serve citizens in that way. So I'm always going to try and find a way. If you call and ask me, I'm always going to try and find a way to help you do that legally to satisfy the paper that the effort was made. And like I said, honestly, you guys upgrade yourselves with your website and everything. There may be a way to where you can call emergency meetings and actually have them take place pretty quick, where you can get this done. And because we've also seen from the lawsuit that meetings do occur electronically, that is defined as a meeting. So all you have to do is call it legally and publicly, and let the public view and participate in it, which you can do through your own website. So that may be something we can actually
I
fix.
feel better about a situation like that if it was done.
Yeah, and that idea just came to me, guys, so we're gonna have to hammer it out, but I know we could do it. And actually, it'd be a way to use tech. I'm kind of excited about calling Brittany when I get back to the room, because that would be a way to make sure we're okay legally. And still not make it more inconvenient for government and people, or expensive. We don't want to do that. Anything else, guys and gals?
I think we've done a pretty good job of calling
I think it
meetings
really
and
helped.
taking care of business.
Sorry, please do just remember, and I'm glad Mr. Hughes showed up, because, one of the things, there's no fair hearing on an issue without 2 advocates, and Mr. Hughes and attorneys who serve public boards as attorneys and are supposed to give you a certain kind of advice. When it comes to open meetings and public records, that is oftentimes going to be in conflict with someone like me who answers first to the public and not necessarily you guys, and views those laws from that perspective. I'm going to plead their case. The attorney's job is to plead your case. And so what I would ask you to do, so that I don't end up getting in fights with attorneys, I ask this of all boards, in order to get the kind of advice that from him that won't get you in a fight with me, you got to watch how you phrase your questions. If you ask Mr. Hughes, can we do this in executive session? Mr. Hughes is a good lawyer, and he is going to give you a way to do this in executive session. Because honestly, you're his clients, and you are more exposed out here, right? But your public officials, that's gonna be your job to expose yourselves a little bit. But it's his job to protect you from yourselves. So there's a conflict there, and I'm gonna bring that conflict to light occasionally over this particular issue. So if you ask him, can we do this in executive session? He's gonna, if he's a good lawyer, he's gonna tell you that you can and why a great many times. If you ask him, how much of this can we do in public session? Tell us how to do as much of this as possible in public session. He'll do his job and do what you ask him to do there. So I'd ask that you think about how you ask for advice from your attorney on this moving forward, and that's the other way to kind of avoid conflict with the paper and the public on these laws. Because he'll give you the advice you ask him to give you. Sorry, Mr. Hughes, if I was wrong on that, please feel free to rebut at any time, but I just do not have a fight with him.
No, I think it's all pretty good advice.
Okay.
And also, I appreciate this so that I don't have to turn to it every time.
Okay. Yep. And I promise that's copied verbatim. I didn't do any edits on it or anything. That is as the statute's written. So, all right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Feel free to call anytime, email. You guys all know how to get in touch with me.
Crosswalk is at the traffic light, but think that a flashing sign can notify drivers that students are in the area. Thank you for taking our request into consideration and helping us as a district to serve our students in a safe manner. Respectfully, Brad LaCroix, Superintendent. Do we have, like, children signs, like they have, you know, like, yeah.
There are currently signs up on both ends of the school district property on Stampede for crosswalk signs, basically. As far as flashing signs or anything like that, I would have to do some investigating and find out what it would cost to put those up.
If you can do that, that would be great. But we already got that, those signs there. But I know I've turned there a couple times and they kind of do a diagonal crossing the street instead of straight across.
Do we want to entertain putting a crosswalk other than the intersection of Stampede Main Street, closer up to the middle school?
That would be nice.
Like at that first entrance where the parking lot is, not the bus loop.
Yeah. Would that be in pleasure of the council? Look into that.
And there's a sidewalk on the other side?
There's
Yes.
sidewalk on both sides.
I don't.
I would move that in the, you know, looking into the greater good, that we look into putting in a sign or a crosswalk and have the public works director research that for us.
So is that motion to put in a crosswalk as he looks for lights, or?
Yeah, it was kind of confusing, wasn't it?
I think
So
we did it.
I would move that in the spirit of public safety that we have the public works director look into putting in a crosswalk and some sort of lighted sign.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
So are you saying, look into it? Does that mean just we're gonna check
See
it out?
what it's gonna cost us to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah. Okay.
Well, we can click it.
If I may suggest, maybe rather than the motion, let me gather up some information and I can report back at the next meeting.
That's fine, okay.
That would save a motion.
Yeah, because there's no school right now. So.
Yeah, there's no school, so potentially we just want this done by probably the middle of August. I can look at some options and things like that and report back at the next meeting if you'd like.
Just a point of clarification. Are we talking about going across Stampede over to Par Pacific?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, it would be
The sidewalk, middle school
middle school,
to the tree, the atrium
well,
area.
to the Arboretum.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Is that what I understand?
Okay.
So no motion at this time.
I rescind my motion.
And I want my second to stay on the books.
Moving on to citizens business verbal. Candace Nufford, no dogs at the ball fields.
I'm new at this, so bear with me. So good evening, my name is Candace Mefford. I'm here on behalf of Newcastle Little League Baseball, Newcastle Babe Ruth Baseball, and Newcastle Soccer League. I am here introducing a new dog ordinance for no dogs allowed at the sports complex at 870 Birch Street. We are here to propose the dog ordinance, but be put in place at the sports complex because people keep using the fields as a park, or as a dog park. Our children's play on these fields, and despite all the signs, people still don't clean up after their dogs. Between pets, pet urine and feces killing the grass, our children are involved in soccer and baseball are physically stepping and diving into pet waste. We also often see dogs marking fences, dugouts, which does not get cleaned up. Our kids don't need to play in any of it. Not only is it unsanitary for dogs to be at the field, but it is also a safety risk. We understand that most dogs are nice, however, some of us have personally witnessed a nice dog bite a child. Leashed or not leashed, it is a congested area with many public people and too many kids running around. We don't believe that owners' attention is 100% on their dogs. Unfortunately, it takes a couple to ruin it for everyone. That being said, we would please like there to be a city ordinance to consider for no dogs allowed at the sports complex. By having this ordinance, we as parents and board members will be able to have the support when we nicely ask people to remove their dogs from the field. Thank you for your time.
What do the signs say now?
Currently, we have no teeth into this whatsoever. The city employees have asked people when we see them off leash, walk their dogs into the sports fields and let them run like a dog park. We've asked them to remove them, and in not too many terms, we've been told no. I fully support this. I do not believe somebody sliding in home should have to worry about dog feces on the side of their pants or leg. This has been an ongoing issue for years. I'm an avid dog lover. I have 2 of them myself. I would not take my dogs to a sports field and turn them loose.
We already have signs at the soccer fields that say that you're not supposed to have your dogs out there.
But there's nothing saying they can't.
Okay, so
all it is a sign. It isn't even worth the sign it's printed on.
they can walk past the sign and we don't have any way of enforcing it.
Yes.
Unless we have an ordinance.
This has been an ongoing problem for many, many years. I fully support the sports groups in getting the dogs off the fields.
I agree.
It's a big issue.
Railway Park's the same way.
Yeah.
So many dogs at Railway Park.
All parks are that way, but
Cemetery.
to me, there's 2 places that this is really a big issue, and I really take the issue with it even as a dog owner. And that's on sports fields and the cemetery. There's a certain degree of respect for both places. We have nothing in place other than, from what I can read, they have to be on a leash. Doesn't mean you have to pick it up. Doesn't mean they can't lock them in there, but they have to be on a leash. Doesn't mean you have to hold on to the leash. It just means you have to be on a leash.
Well, I agree that an ordinance needs to be made, but I think we need to look at the ordinance that we have now and see if it's something that can be added to that ordinance or if a new ordinance needs to be made. So this will give Dublin some time to research it, and then bring an ordinance to us at our next meeting if one is not applicable or if one can be,
Revised.
revised.
So the signs around town that indicate, people to pick up their dog waste, and there's a fine listed on the sign, so there's no ordinance that backs that?
That's what we're looking at right now.
Oh,
So that's why I said we need to review the ordinance that's there now.
so there is an ordinance.
Well, that's what we're looking for. We're gonna see, because we have a
Well, you
ordinance
just-
with the CSO, we're seeing if it's in that ordinance.
But even at that, to lock a dog into a sports field and let them run free, I take my dogs outside of the city limits to do the same thing on state public ground that has no bearing on anything. I would suggest all dog owners to do that rather than take them to a sports field and let them turn them loose into a sports field.
So I mean, this is also a good incentive for us to try to move forward with this whole dog park idea. To get the funding and then get the people a place where they can run their dogs.
So there is an ordinance on this. It's section 4-4.2, removal of feces required. Except as provided in subsection B of this section, it shall be the responsibility of any person accompanying an animal to remove and dispose of any feces from the animal which is excreted upon public property, including but not limited to streets, alleys, sidewalks, and parks, or upon private property not owned or possessed by the person, unless otherwise consented to by the property owner, which obviously the city's not consenting to people allowing dogs to do that, shall be the responsibility of such person to place containing clothes or wrap the feces in plastic, paper, or similar material, and deposit the feces in a public garbage can or private garbage can with consent of the owner of the can. So do we have cans by chance at any of these parks?
Oh,
Is there?
They don't put it in there, but they're there. They usually throw it right beside the can.
$10 is the fee.
What we want now though is just no dogs allowed.
Sure,
Don't bring your dog, don't let your dog go around there.
They said fee because it's
And you can't pick up urine.
But how do, like these girls, let's just say, see it happen, what do they do? And then what?
Anyway.
And we have to
Take a
make sure
picture.
that our CSO follows through.
honestly, we just need to
Turn it into
remove the
a
dogs from the fields.
Yeah.
So
is
we've
there-
nicely asked people to please get your dogs off the field. Like, this is where our kids are playing. They're diving for balls. They're not looking for dog poop in the grass.
We have an ordinance, so it just needs to be revised to add that no dogs at the sports complex or at all parks.
Madam Mayor, we can't take care of all dogs. We can't put that in there. It should be except certified service dogs.
Right. That's. So
And they should have a certificate, not just saying, oh, my doctor said I need this.
they have that with us.
The one place the dogs should not be is sports dogs.
so. What are the areas that we're thinking specifically?
Railway Park, you got kids playing all the time there.
Here,
Yeah.
you have,
That's not-
Dublin's asking
Dog park.
questions, so it would be the baseball fields and soccer fields, so the sports complex, is that what it's really called, the sports complex?
Actually, it's dedicated as the O.C. Carney. Yeah, O.C. Carney, we call it the O.C. Carney Sports Fields. Sports Complex.
And it's Carney with a C or a K.
O.C.
Kearney.
Can you,
Kearney.
Okay.
is that the only area we're gonna be specific on, or is there gonna be Railroad Park, Centennial Park, Down Park, Girl Scout Park?
No, those are not sports places.
I know they're not sports, I'm talking about parks, because Darren's talking about Railroad Park and kids playing there, and there's lots of dogs.
I think as far as the rest of the parks go, we probably need to up the fee involved with not picking up
The fine.
poop, feces, whatever, on the rest of the parks. $10 is.
Does the sign say that a city ordinance requires you to pick up your dog's doo-doo?
I don't.
Not in those words,
but.
but.
I don't remember right off the top of my head what the sign says.
What do we, well, he's gonna make a revisal, do we want him to put in a price on that revisal?
Should we raise the fine?
I think so.
Yeah, $10 is nothing. How about 150?
I was gonna
Well, my
say,
dog just died and I'm pissed.
sorry to hear that, Tom.
I think the fine should be definitely up,
50 or more.
Yeah, I agree.
so if we would put that in. And then, any other suggestions, maybe get it to Dublin before the next meeting for the revised, versions are stating.
Can I also get a motion to have the revisions done on this this ordinance on section 4-4.2?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. So at next meeting, we'll have a revised to start the reading process. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Alright. Moving on to citizens business number 2, Caleb Carter, hazardous waste day.
Yes, Council, I appreciate you giving me a chance to come and talk. And I do want to thank you for your continued support of the Hazardous Waste Day. It's been an ongoing program for, gosh, at least a decade, probably longer. I wasn't able to quite figure out exactly when it started. I need to ask about that. But anyway, it's been a great program. We've collected a significant amount of hazardous waste, everything from chemicals such as pesticides, used oil, cleaners, all the way down to lots of paint. That always seems to be one of the biggest things we collect is used paint or expired paint or paint nobody wants anymore. Electronics continues to be a big component of it, especially the TVs, big screen TVs that don't work anymore. And, with technology, the way it moves along so fast, it's cheaper to buy a new one than it is to fix it. So unfortunately, and Stacy, did you get the copy of the letter that I dropped off? Okay. And you all have copies of that?
Yeah, we do.
Awesome, thank you. I just realized I should have asked if I needed to make copies for everybody or not, so thank you for taking care of that for me. Just like to give everybody a summary of kind of what we've collected, where we're at with things. And the company that we work with on this is Veolia. They're out of Colorado. And our bill for this last year was $15,925.38. So it does continue to be a significant investment on our part, but like I said, I think it's a worthy investment and a great way to reinvest tax dollars out of our mill levy that we get from the county to go right back into the city and the communities and the county to help with that. So I do want to thank you for your continued support of that. And I think it would be interesting to try and go back and calculate sometime how much waste, estimate how much we've collected over the last decade or more. I might try to do that just because I think it's interesting to think of how much we've kept out of landfills. And especially with the ongoing process of transitioning to a new landfill and all that stuff, I think it's interesting to look at. So, but with that, I guess you can see on here, paint was definitely the biggest thing we collected, that, and then electronics is right next to it. And those are in pounds or gallons, except the electronics, that should be pounds. And you can see some of these are kind of more generic descriptions. We do also tend to collect a lot of light bulbs as well, a lot of fluorescent bulbs and mercury bulbs. So it seems like at least every year we have at least one or two estates that are trying to clean up old sheds or something. Somebody passed away and they're like, yeah, granddad kept anything and everything, and they just bring it by the truckload. And are pretty happy to have the place to take it. So, so I guess if there's any questions about it.
What is it, Taylor? What is
The next one, so it's typically what I've been doing is that third weekend in September, and I believe that Saturday this year is the 24th, if I have that quoted right.
It was last year.
Or was last year the 24th?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the
last year
25th.
was
23rd.
It's 23rd, yes, thank you. And one thing I did want to mention, I've been in discussions with the town of Upton, and they have requested that we do a hazardous waste collection day there as well. We've weighed the options of doing one there and one here, and it doesn't really make sense, I think, for the size of our communities and the size of our county to necessarily do that, because it would cost basically the same fees as far as hosting this one here would be the same again in the new site in Upton. The only difference would be, how much we collect at each site. But so what we've discussed as a board, and one of the things that the town council in Upton has requested is that we try hosting one there, and maybe about every 3 or 4 years we host in Upton, and then the other years we would host in Newcastle. And so we are going to continue those discussions with the town of Upton and consider hosting this year in Upton. So it would still be open to anyone in the county that wanted to bring material or anything they wanted to dispose of. But it's been one of my goals since I started this position to try and not get sucked into that lens of just Newcastle and remember that we are a county entity and that we are trying to serve everybody equally. And I'm also planning to do some community education programs in Upton as well, similar to what I hosted through EWC Community Ed this past year, which went really well. Were very well attended. And so just looking for ways to kind of spread that around and share and make sure everybody's getting that support. So so that is our plan, and I'll keep you updated on that once I have discussions with the town of Upton and see if indeed that is still what they'd like to do. So that is our plan for this year. And Greg, I'll be in touch with you too once I know more on that, and let you know if we're planning on doing it here still or not. But that's kind of what we're planning there. We are hoping that the city of Newcastle would still continue to support. Typically, we've received $2,000 in support for our hazardous waste day, and we would hope that the board would continue, that the city council would continue to support the district. And even if we aren't hosting the site in Newcastle this year, we are trying to increase our presence through educational programs, through presence at various events and things like that to help raise awareness and what am I trying to say? I'm blanking out on the words now, but just trying to not, I keep thinking notoriety, but that's not what I'm looking for, but trying to raise awareness of the district, because even the residents of the city of Newcastle and the town of Upton, they still pay into our mill levy. And so we are trying to support them. We are continuing our support and efforts at the community garden and building awareness and participation there as well. And so I would hope that in your budget you would consider to continue to support the district regardless of how that decision goes down as far as the site for hazardous waste day. And that was one of the things that we talked about. The board, my board talked about when we were discussing moving this site, is that they wanted me to discuss with the city council and make sure that that we're planning on rotating back and forth, and that we are trying to be more involved in the community and hope that you would still continue to support us in that effort. So happy to answer any questions. I know you're getting close to your budget hearing, so I'm going to just...
How does your board come together? How does it, who created it?
So my board, so it's kind of wonky, a little, not wonky, but it's different. So we're considered a special district, but we are governed by state statute. So we are a custody of the state of Wyoming. And our board was originally formed, the Weston County Natural Resource District was originally formed in January of 1961, is when they got their official approval from the state of Wyoming to go ahead and form. That approval came down through the Board of Agriculture. And so as far as governance, we are governed by a Wyoming state statute. And we report to the Wyoming Department of Revenue, the Wyoming Department of Audit. There's statutes within each of those entities governing our finances. All of our finances are considered public funds, and we're managed as such. So our board is a 5-person volunteer board, and they are elected by district members. So we have an election every 2 years, and so there's 5 members, and they're on staggered terms. So every 2 years we have either 2 or 3 board members that are up for election that year. So what makes us unique in Wyoming as far as conservation districts go is not everybody in Weston County is in the district. That's the way it was formed when they originally formed in 1961. And so consequently, we are not on the general ballot for the county entities. So similar to the Weston County Fire Protection District, we run our own election and we of our district members. So at this point in time, we have about 2/3, probably a little over 2/3 of the county acreage-wise that's considered in the district, and that pay into our, and those people that are within the district pay into our mill levy that we get that helps to support a lot of our programs, helps cover administrative fees and salaries. And one of the things we are looking at this year is we are going to be hiring a part-time office manager and programs manager that's going to help a lot in freeing up my time to continue to pursue more grant funding and things like that, to expand program opportunities. The limiting factor is always time and money, right, for everything. So trying to free up some time to go find some more money is my goal, and bring that back to the community. So.
Thank you, not only for what you do with this, but all the other stuff you do for our community.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, thank you guys for your support of the district as well as Ben Sprockets. I apologize I wasn't able to attend that meeting a couple of weeks ago, I believe, when you had the presentation, but I would like to thank Tyrell for recognizing us, the City Council for your continued support of the trails. Our Flying Bee Trails Day was fantastic. We have a video on our website, our Facebook page that was made by a gentleman out of Gillette, if you want to look at that. But everybody had big smiles on their face and had a lot of fun, so I count that as a success. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Q.
It's 7:30, so we have the scheduled budget hearing. I will go ahead and turn that over to our city clerk. Okay, I can.
It's at the end. So notice is hereby given, and I did have 7:15. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing on the proposed budget for the city of Newcastle, Wyoming for the fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2024, which is now being considered by the council for the said city, will be held at the chamber of the City of Newcastle City Council on the 5th day of June 2023 and I did have 7:15 p.m. at which time any and all persons interested may appear and be heard respecting the such budget. A summary of the proposed budget follows. The Legislative Council, $32,900. Judicial Municipal Court, $40,650. Executive, which is the mayor's, $8,400. Financial Administration, Clerk and Treasurer is $191,460. City Attorney is $42,000. General Administration for $62,350. City Hall, $19,400. The Police Department, $1,510,000. Fire Department, $196,500. Protected inspection engineer, $128,300. Streets and alleys, $1,035,900. Engineer for the streets department is $59,200. Cemetery, $243,700. Airport, $43,000. Health and welfare, $171,500. Parks, $333,896. Newcastle Recreation, $38,550. Other general expenses, $29,700, for a total general fund requirements of $4,187,406. In the detail of water fund requirements, capital expense, water department, $108,000. Wells, tanks, and pumping equipment, $526,000. Transmission and distribution, $1,041,400. Engineer water department, $74,700. Accounting and collections, $77,570. Other general expenses, $22,000, for a total of the water fund requirements, $1,849,670. Details of sewer fund requirements: sewer, $1,973,050. Engineer sewer department is $56,000, for a total of the water and sewer fund requirements of $2,029,050. Details of the garbage fund requirements: opening expense, $533,600. Engineer garbage department is $90,700. Other general expenses: equipment, $10,000, for a total garbage fund requirement of $634,300. With the total appropriations of $8,700,426.
This is including the work that you approved over.
That does include the proposed rate increases. Well, this is actually just expenses, I'm sorry, Pam. This doesn't outline any revenue.
Anybody have any questions? There's a motion.
We actually have reason to believe that we will have $8,700,000 to spend.
Well, given the proposed revenues, yes, but that's outside of the sewer fund. We did have to pull those reserves.
To the tune of,
It was I think it was like 122,000, I believe. I do have that somewhere. So yeah, it was actually $112,407 from the cash reserves for the sewer fund, and that leaves us at a zero balance, revenue versus expenditures.
and overall, when we were talking earlier at your office that we have in reserve something like $3 million, and this budget takes $1 million of that?
Correct.
That means we can do business for the next 2 years and then we'll have business, yes.
I'm not. And that is the general fund reserves.
Yeah.
So under where it says details of sewer fund requirements, then it says total water and sewer fund requirements? This should just be sewer, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, Darren, yes.
given on, what was it, the 15th, I believe, Stacy?
My final numbers will be announced by 15th.
Okay. I think with the amendments on the budget, it's, where was that?
Since we're gonna have to amend it several times.
And that's just due to the
Well,
increase on utilities.
Well,
Ordinance was the
right.
cover table, right?
well, that and, no, that would just change the PU's budget, correct? The dispatch. And then,
Yeah, 'cause the budget.
so even if you don't agree with this and it's passed, it gets passed, you can amend it later.
Where is it?
I don't know if it's important to remember, but just because, I mean, there's certain things that obviously we need to pay, but there are other things that are, just because the money is put, like for our service providers, I don't know that we're held to have to expense everything that we budgeted.
Do we ever not?
We have, as far, I have not, since I've been in this position. But some of the things like in the general fund that I would say, you know, are maybe wants versus needs, we don't necessarily have to spend that money.
The other thing is, it states for the adoption of the budget, within 24 hours of the conclusion of the public hearing, which is the governing body, each municipality shall by resolution or ordinance make the necessary appropriations and adopt the budget, which was then put up, and then which is subject to future amendment and shall be in effect for the next fiscal year. So the amendments to it, as we had discussed by tabling the 3 ordinances to get the, I think it was the studies done, correct, the water studies, and then I think the sewer as well, if I was correct. I don't know if he does that. Is that what we were planning on? He was also gonna, we were
Well,
gonna
we were
look
gonna
into it.
look to see what it would cost us.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, it can be amended so that those can later on come in. But these other things, I don't think there was some miscomputation or anything like that.
I just need to make an observation. The last couple of budget cycles didn't seem to go quite as clunky as this. Like, I mean, we had opportunities, we jumped on them. It seems like we put ourselves in kind of a bind. But I don't recall the last 2 budget cycles since I've been on the council going quite as rough as this.
But the fact that we're questioning it is rough?
Yeah, well, it just seems like we kind of painted ourselves into a corner in some respects.
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, if we did or not. And,
I'm not comfortable with it.
well, I understand you're not comfortable with it.
I'm not comfortable with it either.
Well,
And I just-
I mean, and if the clunky is, if there's something that I need to do different or better, I want to do that. I guess if there's particular items during what we've had for our workshops that needed to be taken care of, that would have resolved, you know, some of this. So I'm just wondering, is there more direction that needs to be given during some of those workshops or times? Or what would help the flow here?
So I was just wondering, like, what exactly is throwing us off, right? So if we could try to isolate what is causing our misgivings, right? Then that would be a good step in the right direction. I know that we put in for a couple of grants and we had a match to those grants. Was that one of the things that has thrown our budget off, you know, in the grand scheme of things? like unexpected expenditures, because I don't recall any of the budget hearings prior to this one having anybody seem like they had any misgivings. It just went really smooth and went on through. So, and then the moving of the $1 million out of our reserves, right? Like that's a great cause for concern.
Oh, Ty, I absolutely agree with you. I will tell you through history, looking back at the different budget things, $1 million has been moved over several times.
Okay.
Now, but that's one of those things, like I said, just because it's, put in there as a line item for your revenue, doesn't mean we have to spend it. I mean, I know that looking back through stuff, there was one year that there was $1 million moved over, and maybe 500,000 of it was spent. So it's kind of one of those placeholders in a way.
So
you
that
hope
we
you
have
get more
a buffer.
revenue. So you hope you get the more revenue and you don't spend it.
Yeah, Stacy, we're not here to shoot the messenger.
Oh, no, and by no means I'm not taking it that way. I would really like to have a 2-hour budget workshop and everything goes smooth and be done. So it's kind of some of those that if there's something that I can learn from and do better and we don't have all this, then I'm 100% for it.
And I think the other thing is that all the, several entities have asked for increases too, and, I think some of those did go up, and they're not necessarily, it's a want for them, but we have to look at the city. Is it a want or a need on our end to give them that?
Madam Mayor, if I may, Councilwoman, you are correct. We do have two very unique grant opportunities that increase the water and sewer budgets both. The other side of it is a lot of our fittings, parts, asphalt, everything. We did purchase the asphalt recycler to try and bring the price down on asphalt. But a lot of what we do has increased sometimes 150%. 2 years ago, we were buying 2-inch water meters for around $2,000. We just had to purchase one the other day for over $4,000. So exponentially, we have increased our costs significantly over the past year, especially.
This is happening to everybody,
Yeah,
in every walk of life.
I think that's part of
inflation
it.
is out of control.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of it. It's not all of it, but yeah, I mean, expenses have gone up significantly across the board for everything we do. It's a new shock every day I get an invoice. We had to purchase a 2-inch clay belt, recently purchased a 2-inch clay belt. I bought those things for $2,000 a piece for years. We paid over $4,000 for the most recent one. It'll rack the budget, especially with some of the stuff we deal with. Some of the simpler stuff. Curb stops have gone up so much that it's outrageous. So.
What do we do?
Unfortunately, we have to do what we have to do, and there's your rate.
Well, and the other thing is too, is that, I mean, decades of things not being done,
Exactly.
getting caught up
Exactly.
to us, the water and sewer lines, I mean.
And having a unique project like First Avenue emergency water main replacement, well, now we've got a street to deal with.
Right.
So,
But that's why we have to keep this reserve too. I mean, we've got to be careful.
So, we're in the hearing for the city budget right now. So what action do we need to take
I don't think the service
on the budget
people
right
that
now?
ask for money, the service organizations, we might have raised them a little bit, but I don't think we raised them that much for it to help us in the big scope of
I
things.
understand that.
I mean, we're gonna save a little here and a little there, but it's not gonna save our bacon on this. So I don't think we need to worry about that part.
I don't think that the raises that some of those were given, like you're saying, Ann, is gonna have any effect on the scope of the budget.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're small increases, and their operating expenses are going up too.
Right.
I think we just need to hold them more accountable where they either need to come in and let us know.
Well, just like Caleb did tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he gave us a report.
But I mean, they need to
Yeah.
be more accountable that, hey, we are looking at purchasing A, B, and C, and this is what it's gonna cost. And out of the funds that we receive from the city, we would like to purchase it, and it could be something, you know.
I mean, like, kinda like the flashing light, I don't know if that's real expensive, you know, maybe that's something
They're
that.
kind of expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah, exactly, maybe
The
that's
one,
something
the
that we
one down
just,
by the elementary school is
Exactly.
out right now.
exactly. So I don't think, you know,
That's
that's,
mainly because we can't find a post to put it on. We have the sign. But still, those.
but I mean, those
that-
things are
That speed
expensive.
sign is $4,000.
We just need to be better with our needs versus wants.
No kidding.
And so do the entities that receive funds.
Right. But I don't think we need to worry about the entities right now. I think that we just need to
But
be,
we also need to be advised that this budget has the proposed increases in the ordinances that were,
rate increase.
yes.
Greg, on this, under the water fund requirements, says transmission and distribution, that's over $1 million. What is the transmission and distribution that costs $1 million?
That's our wells, our tanks, our control
Yeah,
stations.
got that, they're all there.
Yeah, pump stations. We do have one project coming up, partial funding from WWDC, partial funding from SRF. We're doing an upgrade. It's basically the phase 2 of the Well 5 project. It's a pump station upgrade to the tune of almost $500,000.
If we add up the cost of well 5, I think we'd be getting at least $2 to $3 million.
We're sitting at about 1.4 million, just over 1.4 million.
So after this, it'll be 2.
But that project is primarily funded, 67% of it WWDO funding, the rest of it SRF, and then we have about roughly $40,000 of funding that we have to pull out of our funds to pay for overages that WWDO or SRF will not pay for.
So also, Tom, that also includes salaries.
Oh, that, okay.
And other things within the water department as well.
Okay.
The distribution, I would imagine, portion of that is the 7th Avenue match. The match for the 7th Avenue water main replacement, sewer main replacement project.
Okay.
So that also accounts for the Duff Avenue sewer replacement and lift station project.
In the
sewer
sewer fund requirements, yes.
Yeah.
That one's strictly sewer, so. Which we got a 67, or 16%, 84% match grant. So we basically have funded that project 84% through ARPA funds.
Wow. This bad.
Unfortunately, the water and sewer systems and streets are expensive to maintain and replace.
And we,
And we have a pretty large distribution system and collection system that's been neglected for years and years and years.
And it costs money to get it back to where we.
so how can we turn it around and make more revenue?
Well, we have to charge
Other
more for
than
water and
charging.
sewer. And a lot more than $7 a bunch.
Yeah, but you can.
We can't hit them up at
we gotta be careful. I mean, yes, we need to increase, but we can't just go from zero, $3 to $50, We have to do what's right for our citizens as well. When we're doing the increases, because of those fixed incomes and everything else. But yes, it does need to be increased. I mean, everything's increasing.
So, what action do we need to take on the budget as it stands right now?
Well, tonight we're supposed to make a motion to
Approve the budget.
approve the budget, and we can make amendments, at any time.
Well, Your
But
Honor,
there's probably gonna be a lot of amendments being made.
Well, you said that you weren't happy with this budget. Tell us what are your thoughts here? We're supposed to pass this tonight.
I have several, thoughts. I know it's not a lot of money, but we have a lot of entities that receive money from us that, maybe shouldn't be getting the amounts that we're giving them. And I think we need to have those entities also be a little bit more responsible, letting us know how they're utilizing those funds, because we have taxpayers who want to know. And I think we have a lot of work that needs to be done in our city that we need to take care of before some of these entities that are kind of existent and non-existent and fully existent.
But we just went over the budget and decided how much money to give all these people, didn't we?
Yeah, and then it got changed.
We called several of these entities in and then actually had them provide us with the information that you just said.
Well, one entity, and I'll bring it out, and I know it's a sore subject, but we have an ambulance service. Yes, we need an ambulance service. This ambulance service has come in, told us that we would always have a backup come in from Wright. We had a situation not long ago where we did not have a backup, and there was a delay in ambulance service because we didn't have one here in town. And when they got to town, they asked, did that person get taken by POV? It's like, no, we still need you to respond.
I provided you with that information too, Mayor. That happened to my family as well.
So they finally advertised local. I give them that. It was on Facebook. I don't know about paper or anything else, but it was on Facebook. They did advertise in Newcastle. And I understand that they have issues getting staff and whatnot, but they have been given many solutions, not only from our hospital, but from citizens about drivers and things to that factor, so that at least they have 2 EMTs and could have 2 ambulances. And then, so I have an issue with that. I have an issue with the chamber. I know they're trying, but I've been dealing with an individual in town that has been working on a huge thing that just happened over the weekend, which I was going to talk about in the mayor report, and it did not hear back from the chamber at all in regards to having almost 400 people come to our town on Sunday. And, it was very disturbing on not having that out there. I mean, 400 people not from our town, in town, and our businesses, I didn't hear a word from the chamber. I only knew about it because it was brought to the council meeting. Yeah. And I helped with the main coordinator on things. So it's just, I just see, it's almost like paying someone to come do dishes that don't do the dishes. I don't know, I'm happy all the time, and I feel like that our money needs to be more directed to what is needed.
This came up the other day too, Mayor, because I've been in contact with some of the members of the chamber, and you can't really have a chamber of commerce without community buy-in. So I think the dues per year are like $175. So what is preventing you from spending $175 to go buy into the chamber for one or all three of your businesses. It doesn't seem like it's that much, and then be involved with the chamber.
Because what is the chamber gonna do that I don't already do?
Well, and that's the thing, we need community buy-in, right? Like, the chamber needs membership in order to thrive. That would take the edge off the amount of money that they need to ask for from the city.
Well, then how come the chamber is not coming and asking me to be a member?
Well, that's another thing is maybe they, I mean, Sandra Martin called you out in the middle of a council meeting, right? About how you're not a member of the chamber, right?
They should be soliciting members.
Yeah,
I shouldn't
there should
be-
be some kind of a membership drive.
I
but-
should not have to chase them down. They need to come and ask and explain to the businesses why they need, or what they can do for the businesses. Now, we have a new chamber, and they're revamping and they're revising, but I haven't heard, they haven't, I mean, they.
Nita and Ann were at their meeting, and we've been trying to like give them a little bit of support, right?
And I think that's great.
So, if someone was to come to you directly, if I was to talk to somebody at the chamber, and they sent somebody to talk to you, then you'd be willing to consider being part of the Chamber of Commerce?
Maybe be considered, I mean, I don't know, I wanna know what their game plan is and what they're going to be doing. And if it's worth my investment, then I will invest. But that's not, I always try to keep my businesses out of the council meetings. But I just don't, I mean, where were they this weekend? Where were they at this big event? I have emails saying that they haven't even responded to the person that was putting these events together.
Well, I don't know, that seems like another thing that may be a little bit of
I gotta say
leadership.
something, this should be a discussion for some other time. We're trying to talk about our
Thank you.
budget tonight, and I gotta get home sometime this evening.
Well, I
Yeah.
just have issues with some of the money that could be spent.
That's my bad.
Thank you.
Anyway, now, Mr. Downs brought up something a couple of weeks ago, or in one of our meetings, that you know, there's about 3 people in this city that owns an airplane. And I'm looking at $43,000 sitting here for the airport, and I'm a pilot, and I don't really wish to cut them all their money out, but I'm just looking at ways that we could spend less money. And I think that's a good point. You know, there aren't very many pilots in Newcastle and people who own airplanes here.
I just don't know how we got this far in the process to be bringing up all these
This is where we
concerns now.
are.
Yeah, like,
Well, we brought up that.
This is the reason that we're here.
We've already talked about all of this.
We have talked about all of this. One of them, you were on Zoom or whatever it may have been.
yeah, I couldn't
And then-
hear half of what was going on.
Right, and then the next meeting, things got changed because of the conflict of not being able, not conflict, whatever, the interruptions of not being able to hear the whole thing. All I'm saying is, I don't agree with the budget. And that's just my opinion. So if someone wants to make a motion to approve, it, then, and if there's a second, that's fine. I'm just saying, I don't approve it.
I mean, if we don't approve the budget tonight, where are we? That's what I'm asking.
That's the question. If we
Ooh,
don't
this is
approve
a
it,
national problem.
What's gonna happen?
Oh, government shutdown? This is gonna be like what happened to the feds?
No, I'm asking that one.
So the adoption of the budget, at least from what I was just looking at, Stacy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the 3rd June, the third Tuesday in June that you have to have the budget basically have a hearing by.
Yes.
Now we're having that hearing right now, and notice of it was given. That doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, if we were to adopt the budget, then we couldn't amend it at some other time. The thing is, you guys, is that if we don't adopt the budget by July 1st, you don't have a budget set forth as it states in statute. So that's,
So by the 3rd Tuesday,
It's the 20th.
that's the 20th. And the 19th looks like it's a holiday.
holiday.
Right.
Oh, June
Not
10th.
one that we.
That's not a holiday.
Yeah, that's good.
And the other
It's just
thing,
a brag.
My organization does.
if we're worried about basically the estimated revenue where we had those 3 ordinances, what can happen is basically this is adopted and we amend them after the fact. Or tonight we go back to the same rates that they were prior and then adopt those ordinances as we go.
Well, I move that we accept this budget as written, we're keeping in mind that we have a right to revise it in the future.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, any further discussion?
So we will look now, is that what you're saying, Mr. Ross? So we will now look,
We got till June. to-
20th.
Yeah.
Right.
To do something
So that's
different,
something that
if we want to.
frankly, you guys, I'm in a bit of a gray area here. So it says that you have to have the hearing by the 3rd Tuesday of June.
Oh,
I mean, if you don't pass a budget by July 1st, you don't have a budget.
so
So
we have until July 1st.
No, we have until the 20th.
I would say that it's probably safer to err on the side of getting it done by June 20th. But again, we're in a gray area again, in my opinion. Now, I might be incorrect on that, but July 1st is for sure the cutoff. June 20th is the safest.
But, Dublin, you just said we can revise it about any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So better to accept it, like Tom said, let's accept it, and then we'll make changes,
Or we could
not accept it.
not accept it, or we don't even have to make a motion yet and have another public hearing on it on the 19th.
But we have to meet before the 19th and
Exactly.
get a program.
So it could either, we already have a motion and a second, or we could, if it's not approved, then we can always have another meeting, especially on the budget, and then have a hearing on the 19th. Yeah. So,
And if we're gonna do that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, and I apologize if there's anything I've done incorrectly on this process, but did you guys receive this, all of this, everything, did you guys receive my email that I sent out prior to the 15th?
yes.
So why haven't we had questions before tonight? That's your question.
That's kind of,
Yeah.
if these
Well,
were
why-
things that maybe we should have tried to schedule a meeting
Right.
prior, I mean, just for future.
You're absolutely correct.
You're right.
Okay. Any other discussion? Did you have something?
I was just gonna say we probably should put out another notice of public hearing if we're not gonna be adopting the budget tonight. So that would be on the 19th.
So,
But then we need to have a
And then
meeting
we'll
next
have
week.
another special meeting.
so are we going forward with this motion?
You have to, it's on the floor.
Okay, so all in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, motion denied, and we will set up another special hearing for the 19th and set up a meeting to go over the budget.
So, this next meeting, I know that I was joining remotely, but we need to get into the weeds and figure out exactly where the problem lies so that we can try to figure out what we're going to do about it. Because, like I said, the budget's gone through a lot smoother. The last couple of years I've been on the council, this is the first time I've ever seen a hang-up like this. And I want to know what the problem
But it is like Stacy said, she has sent this out. Why haven't we questioned it before now?
Because I thought we were pretty much good. Like, I thought that we'd moved through the process. We talked it out a few times. And we allowed it to get this far. And nobody said anything. And then we have concerns tonight that led into a whole, avalanche of other avenues and things we think we need to eliminate
Here's the one that
that
Ron
probably should have been brought up earlier in the process.
Well, we'll
Okay.
make that
All right.
meeting. All right, we can maybe set that later when we get to, on the road, or do we want to set it now for next week or this week?
Whatever.
We need to get this fixed, so sooner rather than later, Madam Mayor.
So
We
when,
can't do it Thursday then.
I will be gone on Friday as well. Okay, so it's either the 7th or we go on to next week.
I can do it the 7th or I can
I'm good for the 7th, so I'll make myself available.
The 7th of this, the day
Well,
after tomorrow?
do it.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
We gotta make sure James is available.
Okay, the meeting,
Can we do it at home?
Yeah, I could definitely do it by phone. Yeah, it might be cutting it. What time are we thinking?
What time?
What time would work for you?
Actually, I have to throw something out there. I have a procedure on Wednesday, and I'm not even supposed to sign checks or drive myself. So I don't think
I'll
that,
pick you up to come to the meeting.
that's definitely when we should have a meeting.
How about the 12th? Does Monday the 12th work for everybody?
that would work for me.
That's even better.
Okay, so Monday the 12th. So if, in that meantime, if we can all look at the budget.
Well, me looking at this, Pam, isn't gonna help me. I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
Well, I know, but this stuff. And it would be, do people need me to read email stuff? So I think we have it documents.
I
That
need
gives
to read
us,
email and I can.
so I would say email, well, I still have mine, so I
see
would look
all
at the
your
old
reports
and the new
everything,
ones.
Everything you sent.
And that gives you a week to look it over. If you have any questions, call Stacy.
So
What's the
what
proposed
time?
time?
What time on
What time works
6,
up?
5? I mean,
Earlier.
I'll have to
Monday.
call in, because I'll be showing the grant writing, grant management training,
okay, well, what time does class get over?
5 o'clock.
So should we do like a 5 or
It'd be better
5:30?
like 6.
Huh?
That would be better like 6, so I can get back to the motel and
Okay, so 6 o'clock on the 12th. June 12th. Okay. Anything else before we move forward? Okay. Mayor, council member reports. I wanted to bring this up before it was even brought up, was in our last meeting, we talked about the sirens. And we talked about how there should probably be like a town hall meeting on the placement of a siren and everything else. I know that never got dated or what it was. I know whatever fire, I think it was the fire that committee that ended up with, that was supposed to get together, but I don't know if they did or not. But anyway, at that last meeting, we talked about an email that was received on the 12th of May. Let me find it. So the email that we got was that the new sirens are scheduled to be installed. Is the city interested in emergency management? Give the city one of the new sirens to be placed in the city. This would be the one that is currently at the fire hall that is going to be moved somewhere. And we talked about installation is scheduled for May 30th, 31st, and June 1st and 2nd. They were out here those days. We talked about it on the 15th, then they were out here on those days, the 30th, 31st, the 1st and 2nd. On the 31st, we received a phone call that when the guy was here doing the maintenance or looking at all the sirens, the one on Boyd Street was bowing and cracking. And so we got a phone call right away saying since since we have not had a town hall and we're not replacing or putting one in a new place, they have the pole and everything that they could replace the pole. So I got in contact with Stacy, got an email out. There was supposed to be like pretty much no charge to it, because it was using the stuff that was already here under emergency management. So now I received an email today that I haven't even read yet. I just saw that it was there. It's from Emergency Management, Gilbert Nelson. I want to thank the Newcastle City Council for working so quickly to approve the replacement of the emergency siren on Boyd Avenue. It wasn't the siren necessarily, it was the pole. With needing locates, we needed 48 hours lead time to be able to get the job done. The pole was leaning old and dried out, and I was worried it was going to fall over. The speakers were the old style and were ready for an upgrade. It really worked out as the tech for the communication technologies did the annual siren checks while he was here, as well as discovered that the siren by the senior center was not working and needed a full front panel upgrade. The cost of a new panel is $16,840. We were able to take the panel off the pole we replaced and put it on the pole at the senior center, and getting that one working again, saving the city a significant amount of money. I would recommend a full upgrade in the near future. Right now, the cost panel of speakers is about $21,500. I am going to submit to finish replacing and adding more sirens in the next year's SHSP grant, so hopefully I can help you avoid any cost of any significant cost. I am running into some unforeseen costs that I will take care of, since I promised that the Boyd Avenue would be at no cost to you. I am very grateful that we were able to work together to replace this aging siren. You can definitely tell the difference. Thank you again, Gilbert Nelson, Western County Emergency Management. So there was no cost.
So I am thankful that we were able to get it done then.
Yes.
Saved us a lot of money.
But it looks like there's gonna be cost in the future, so,
Can
You
you
mean
find
for the
more
one?
money? Can you find more money?
For the
he
one
said-
siren, you mean?
yeah,
Is that really gonna kill us to not have one siren working?
that I'm not sure.
He seems really excited about getting a lot of
But
sirens.
he says that SHSP grants, he's hoping to get more sirens in the next year's SHSP grants.
More
Well,
sirens in
I didn't
town?
even hear,
We need replacement ones because they're so old. Is
I
what
didn't
he
hear
said.
one this afternoon, did you?
Yeah,
I was
they
in-
were all over
I
the
was in
place.
Rapid.
Did
so-
you hear it, Tom?
Yeah.
I heard it the day that they were testing them.
I did too,
So,
but I didn't hear the one today.
I heard the one today from our house. That's
Madam
the
Mayor,
first time I've-
Yes.
if I may, I know the one at the senior center here, I want to say a year and a half ago, was damaged during a storm. The control panel that we ended up taking off Boyd and moving to the senior center was to take care of that damaged control box. We actually went over there and helped them basically repair what we could and get things going again on the one about the senior center. At that time, it was due for replacement. So they did scavenge what they could off of the Boyd Avenue one, used one to repair that one until such time we can replace it.
So I was a little bit blindsided by the call, although I do agree that it saved us a lot of money, right? And it was necessary. I'm not comfortable personally sitting on this council communicating by email or being asked to give a consensus without the proper channels being followed.
that was one of those, they were on site and kind of, it was either right then and there, or it would have been a cost to us down the road. Because
So,
it would have had to have
just
been,
like Mr. Bonner said, calling an emergency meeting to be convened in an hour and getting your consensus there would have been better as far as the open meeting laws and transparency with the public.
I agree, but I just learned that about, what, 2 hours ago? So,
I know, ignorance is no excuse though.
Hey, be nice.
If I may, council, would this be a situation where it's a maintenance issue?
it was a maintenance issue.
Similar to what we do all the time with the water or sewer or street systems?
But we were just being asked by, we were getting the transparency from emergency management that there would be no charge and that this is the situation and they were there to complete it at that time.
And the maintenance stuff is under a certain dollar amount, right?
Yeah, 75,000.
But everybody knows that there is some issues that we'll be facing in the future when it comes to these sirens. Any other questions on the sirens? Moving on to old business, number 1, utility rate increase. We tabled that for, to get some questions or some answers in regards to what it would cost to have a census, I guess, done or a study done on our community. I do believe that you and, I'm not sure, you did it or
Ray contacted Carl and then we did a
Phone conversation. What it came out of is it would cost the city about $21,000. That's a budgetary number, that's not a hard number by any means.
And I did give everybody packets on that, and I had the page turned to the rates. That the dollar figure Greg's given you is with adding another package if we wanted to include the garbage. So,
Basically, Carl Brown gave us a price that he charged for another system, which they only did water sewer. That does include a presentation at the council meeting, which he would come here from Missouri. We did ask him about the garbage rates as well. He basically said add another same dollar figure as the other 2 water and sewer individual ones, which would roughly come up to about $21,000.
$21,000. We already know
To do
it's
the
too
rates.
crazy.
What's that?
$21,000 to know that we need to increase.
In the situation we're in, I think we probably need to adjust rates, and we can do the study in the meantime. If that's what the council wishes, that would be my recommendation. Also, the water master plan will come with rate recommendations. They will look at our finances. Stacy and I have already sent information off to Enberg Miller for the water master plan. We've discussed with them the sewer rates as well as the sewer system, doing a sewer master plan at some point. They said they are willing to look at that as well, but we can get a rate study done through the water master plan, paid for by WWD.
So it'd be best to kind of go with all the work that you guys did to go ahead and start slowly increasing it while we're doing the study.
I would suggest that, yes. We really need to get rates up so we can, not only for the projects we have planned, but to take care of the maintenance issues. Yeah, come on, constantly.
So,
And I think
I don't agree. I do agree that we need to change our rates. I think that the ordinance that was put before us at the last meeting was done so without a council directive, So it was kind of done out of order. I wasn't expecting to be sitting there with an ordinance that was fully drafted and prepared to have a decision made that specific evening. Sitting down with that representative from Rural Water and her coming up with the ballpark estimate for a base rate, right, of $41.85, when the Public Works Director, when Greg came in and said the average across the state is $43, but then come in with an ordinance that says that we're going to charge $7 per thousand, right, with no base. I think that was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to a problem that we were having. I don't think that if we decided to adopt that ordinance tonight, that it would be in our benefit, because just like the representative from Rural Water said, our citizens could conserve us out of business. So if everybody just decided to quit running water, then $7 a thousand isn't going to do us any good compared to trying to adjust our base rate so that we're getting a consistent and steady flow of income is the best way to handle it. So, Greg said that the Water Master Plan, they're actually going to do the rates, so maybe not spending $21,000 for, a rate adjustment through Carl Brown would be the more frugal and better thing to do. But I also think that Carl Brown puts out a good product, and we could institute it over time. Coordinating with your contact, I'll target a set of goals 10 years in the future for each utility. At a minimum, these will include covering all costs, including capital improvements over that time period, and building appropriate reserves, which is one of the things that we're running into with the budget right now. I will model rates on a cost-to-serve basis to satisfy those goals, and I will model rates in other structures you may desire, as well as costs and other variations you or we think may come about. Capital improvements, planning, and funding appear to be major issues for the water system, and I expect they will be major components of my analysis work. So, Greg's doing good things, right? We're starting to build a capital improvements plan, and we're looking at the future, right? But we need to handle these rates a little bit better than charging $7 a thousand, and then maybe having the chance of not bringing in even the revenue that we have right now.
Okay, so I know several meetings, it's been discussed about possibly doing an increase, but it was no one ever directed anyone to do anything. So first, I appreciate Greg and Stacy for taking the initiative to do something to get the ball rolling. Because it like I said, it's been brought up, but none of us gave any direction or any.
Then a water committee meeting, Madam Mayor, should have been called.
And
then the committee could have come to the council and then asked for a council directive in regard to.
Well, there's a lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda, but now we're right here, and I don't think it's fair to. I think we should do an increase, but not go so dramatic that it's gonna hurt our citizens. There's some citizens out there that can't go from this to a huge amount.
Understood. Fit people on fixed incomes, Madam Mayor.
So I think we should start slowly while we are doing the study.
I think you brought up a good point about the so many dollars per thousand or so many cents per thousand and a by the tap type fee as a base. And Greg, what that $41 is it that you were brought, or $43? Tell us more about that.
So every 2 years, Wyoming Water Development Commission puts out a study. They request information from all water systems, all public water, drinking water systems in the state of Wyoming. Part of the question is, what are your rates, what do you charge per thousand, so on and so forth. They compile that information, and not this year's irrigation, so last year was drinking water side. They compiled all the information and put out the average. And that's what it is across the state of Wyoming, is an average of $43 per thousand. Or $43 per month, excuse me.
$43 per what?
Per month for an average water bill across the state of Wyoming.
Okay.
That's
so-
everything from Jackson to.
Going with his idea, could we amend our present ordinance in front of us that we have a per tap fee, just slide in a nice cute little fee, and then so we have a base. We start with a base, and then we have a per thousand too. I'm just asking questions here. I don't know.
Honestly, Councilman Voss, that's the pleasure of the council.
I really like his concept, but when he says that they can service right out of our budget.
I do understand that,
Okay.
that we need a minimum.
So, Stacy just wrote down what the minimum is, and right now water is $13.30, sewers $15.33, infrastructure is $8, and garbage is $16.75, which is at a $53.38.
So, since I've been on the water and sewer committee, I've been mentioning that we should have rate increases so that we can pay for our infrastructure. I just don't agree with the current proposed ordinance that we tabled. I think any increase on the base would be a step in the right direction, but we do need a base rate and not just charged by the 1,000 gallons. I think that, what'd you say, John?
Didn't Stacy say we have a base rate of $13?
$13.30 for, and that gives you 2,000 gallons. The one that the rural water representative came up with was $41.85 with no free water, with no amount that you're just given, that 2,000 gallons. And then charge 50 cents per thousand after you pay the $41.85. Because what it spit out was basically that our expenditures versus our revenue and everything, every tap in town should be paying $53 just so that we can break even. So the 50 cents per thousand was to add that revenue for people that do extra watering on there to get it up closer to the $53 a tap. So I know, I agree, like jumping from
What would that
$13.30.
jump us, what would that jump the
If we
average person up?
Well, $13
you
and
would add
30 cents.
$28.55 to
Yeah.
$53.38.
According to the numbers we had to work with, the average household uses, residential household uses 5,294 gallons per month per year. So every month, on the average, the household uses 5,294 gallons.
So about $35 is what you're thinking on average everybody would spend if they spent $7 per 1,000 gallons. But then if they thought they could get out of using that water and that they would save money, then they just wouldn't use 5,000 gallons.
Councilman Owens, I'm not against the base rate, but at some point we need to do something. We need to move forward.
Understood.
So,
And
base rate's fine. If that's
How
what the
would
council
how would we
believes.
say that? What's the language we would use on a bill for base rate? Tap rental? I don't know.
One of the things we have to remember is if we raise this, we're gonna have to raise the sewer, and that's gonna raise everybody's bill considerably.
Right now, the two are tied together, do they have to be?
Cause the same we use the same
The meter reading.
Yeah, we use the water meter and come up with the sewer charge.
Water in, water out.
One meter.
That's why we give the sewer forgiveness.
Yeah.
So
If
one
we-
system,
or something.
if I may, one system, they set up a base rate per size of tap, 5/8, 3/4, 1 inch, whatever. Like a 3/4 and 1 inch service in this system had a base rate of $33 and a price of, looks like $1.10 per thousand on top of that.
Hey, what would a tap like for my house be, Greg?
It'd be the 3/4 to 1 inch.
Okay, and that was what on there?
$33 for the base rate.
This is like what a professional like Carl Brown does, is he goes in and figures out what the rates should be for each size of tap, for the amount of usage. Then he would figure out like how it's going to affect people on fixed incomes. I mean, the guy does it for a living, so he gets into the weeds. If you read the packet, it takes him around 6 months to complete a rate study. But if he has good staff helping him, like Stacy and Greg, and they're providing him with the numbers that he needs, then the turnaround is a lot quicker. But it is kind of redundant too, I admit. If our master plan is already going to have a rate study included, then what's the use of redundancy? And especially if they give it a good look and get something figured out. But like Greg said, I agree with rate increases. I just don't agree with just charging by the 1,000.
Yeah, that's dangerous for us. I mean, when is your overall plan gonna be finished, they say?
Be a year from now.
A year? Oh. Well,
I mean,
okay, your committee, you did the work and we need how much for tap just to break even?
just to break even on our expenditures, it was like $53 a tap.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That,
Greg, when somebody goes and fills up a truck to haul water, how much are they paying for 1,000 gallons?
Basically, it would be the similar rate. Currently, our system isn't working the best. The one we have ready to go into place, we're waiting on a couple of fittings, would be a penny a gallon, basically, or $1 a thousand. So, or $10 a thousand, excuse me. So, yeah, water haulers would pay the same rate as what citizens would.
What is done? Why don't we have the water committee get together? I just know Steven's out of town until Wednesday.
That's correct.
Is it long time?
So,
I will be
Can
gone
you-
next week.
Gone.
do you email and get something set up with them?
The 5294 gallons per month is what?
Yeah, 5,294 gallons a year.
Average for what?
For 1,409 tons. So the water we sold, residential water we sold, divided by the 1,409 taps that we built, is what we use for our figures, which comes up to 5,294 gallons per month.
So what was the other figure you come up with, 2,000 something, I didn't catch.
2,000.
You said it right after that. And I didn't catch the other three digits, did you?
Our minimum is 2,000 gallons.
Yeah, our minimum is 2,000 or
1,330.
Oh, that's the minimum.
Yeah. So Greg's gonna email the water committee and get something set up. I just know that Steve sends out of town until
But
Wednesday.
people use 5,200 gallons. That's all we have.
If you guys could
You have certain fixed
get
incomes.
something.
You have certain.
Okay. Anything else on this? Anything else on utilities?
I just want to point out again that things shouldn't be done without a council directive. So we shouldn't be blindsided with ordinances that the council had no idea were being crafted. I think that's important to mention.
Department head reports, Public Works Supervisor Greg Stone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Few things to start off with. We are having a stakeholder meeting for the landfill one remediation on June 21st, 7 p.m. at the council chambers. So any interested parties in what's going on with the landfill one remediation is encouraged to attend. We do have certain members of the public that we are inviting. They'll be impacted directly. As for the cemetery, artificial flowers, we will begin removing the artificial flowers out of the cemetery that are not in permanent vases, starting June 19th.
When you do that, does it tick anybody off?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't we write something and we'll get it on the.
It's been in, it was somewhere, I read it.
Stacy and I are working on an advertisement for that.
It's just still nice to get an advertisement out there.
I've been approached by a couple of people who want to purchase some of the city lots around town that we have for sale. Talking with Attorney Hughes, I need to request and would like to request authority to retain a realtor in order to negotiate and sell the city lots. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lewis.
That's correct.
So I would move that we give the Public Works Director authority to retain a realtor to sell the city lots.
We'll go through the process, but it's basically you just have to do the whole thing.
I second.
We have a motion and second, and is there any further discussion? Which there is. I was asking Dublin exactly how we go about choosing that realtor, and he was saying.
So, and this is just me going shooting off the top of my head, but I don't know how the city has done it in the past, but obviously there's multiple realty groups in town and you don't want to be favoring one or the other. What we can do is basically we can do sealed bids, or we could basically put it into a pool, and I don't remember exactly.
A multi-listing.
Yeah, where the realtors basically are more or less drawn out of a hat to be picked as to what.
Why can't they all have a listing?
Well, I
Seriously. We used to do it all the
I
time.
believe they can actually sell, we can list it with one realtor, but I believe other real estate agents can actually end up selling the property. I apologize, I didn't get time today or late last week to talk with the realtor about the situation.
In the business of real estate, there is a multi-listing that it just includes everybody.
And that would be, is the direction I would like to.
No,
But they should be paying, they'd split the fee, so whoever's the head would get, whoever listed it would get money without doing anything, and the person that sold it would get a percentage of what.
I suggest that we have a multi-listing and we put it on a fixed fee. We say, okay, you sell it, you get 3%. And it's a multi-listing, you're all even, you're all equal. Go for it.
Is there any way of rotating that? Well, there's three of them, I think.
Or split all of the listings up and then just give each realtor.
Well,
We did that once.
I think that's why we're still sitting here with 5 lots.
We did that last time, didn't we, Greg?
Yeah, I believe so. So that's the problem. If we try and split it up, we end up with
I like Tom's idea.
multi-listing. I think
I agree.
best bet. But we do need to retain we do need to move forward with this. We have people interested in lots. Some of the city lots.
That's wonderful.
We are paying taxes on these city lots, so it's not like.
How are we paying taxes on them? How are you paying taxes as a government entity?
Because it was a development. Because it was a development. Because we developed the properties for sale.
Oh, and we lost so much money on that, it was terrible.
Since when does a government entity pay taxes on anything?
It happens all the time. But yes, here's property taxes.
There is a motion and there is a second for.
I would like to say one more thing in discussion. The council was just asked to give a directive, and we gave the directive. So I appreciate you asking for us to give a directive.
So, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you. One more thing, it came up, this is a normal, regular thing for us. During construction projects such as the Duff Avenue sewer, 7th Avenue water sewer replacement, we have the engineering firms that we deal with retain somebody for testing, such as compaction testing, things like that. We did ask the company concerning the South Summit Water Main Project to get us a proposal for engineering the testing for compaction, such things like that. I don't know if anybody else is aware of it. DTE is who they recommended we go with, and that's who we're suggesting we go with. It's not a big deal. It's normal everyday work involved with construction projects. That's who Engineering Associates had recommended after talking with several different places. It's a per test price is what it is, so it depends on what we decide to test. Some of that changes during the construction project if we see something with soil types that we want to have more testing or less testing done. But we're going to continue on Dakota testing and engineering for our South Summit Avenue water replacement project. So.
Nuke testing, just doing compaction testing?
Nuke testing underneath the asphalt, section paving, probably some nuke testing, more so soil type testing for the areas that are underneath non-paved areas, such as the gravel road and the irrigated grass areas, things like that in people's front yards on that project. Other than that, are there any questions about the Public Works report?
I was gonna ask you, what did we spend $6,000 on doors? What was that on this claims this time? There's 2 doors in there, $3,000 a piece in their claims this time.
Yeah, but is that him or is
Yeah.
that
We had to replace an overhead door in our shop.
Okay.
The door was installed in 1994.
Oh, just curious.
Yeah, it was one of the original shop doors. It was the last original shop door that would be replaced.
Okay, did you save it because it's an antique?
I wish.
That one didn't even have like the safety, like laser.
There was nothing good about it, but the door ended up failing. We ended up having to replace it and open it both. So yeah, it was, commercial doors are not cheap, especially when you start getting 11 feet tall, 12 feet wide. The opener type stuff like that get expensive. We couldn't hardly get the sweeper or the street sander out this winter, so we had to replace the door.
It says here that the Secretary of State, Chuck Gray, was here.
Yes.
That sounds like it was pretty cool. I guess I wish I would have been included. I would have liked to have met the Secretary of State.
Well, it was kind of a last minute thing. They called me on a Friday and wanted to show up Monday, so he was interested in seeing some of the SLID projects that are being funded. The ARPA grant funds, he wanted to see where the projects were for that. Upcoming projects that we have coming that we would be interested in seeking funding through SLID. So I gave him a tour of some of the projects that we're working on, some of the things that I'm working on in the future. Water tanks is one. He still couldn't believe we had a water tank that was built in 1932 roughly, that's still in service. So it was interesting.
So it's good that he knows about some of these things if you come
Yeah.
ahead with requests in the future.
Yeah, I actually toured some projects that may be 10 years down the road, but he'll know what they are now.
Well, what I'm saying is I live in town and you live in town and I have a telephone that receives text messages and I would like to visit some of these elected officials too. Mayor, she met with Ogden Driscoll the other day, and I would have liked to met Ogden Driscoll. He's been involved with a lot of the, different things like the land purchases and stuff with the city. So, I mean, it would be nice to have some faces with these names.
Chuck Gray was out at the senior center with the Republican committee that evening after he got through with Gray.
And you announced it.
I announced it.
Yeah, and he actually went to Upton the next day and
Yes.
toured their water system with Superintendent Mark Lindstrom. So.
And as for Driscoll, that was something I was invited to. I didn't put it on. So.
Yeah, it was mainly just
Republican thing?
tour of the system is
No,
what we
when
did.
Driscoll came.
I was there. I don't know about Bristol. I didn't hear about that. I heard about Chuck Gray.
That was interesting.
It was a good deal. I've been involved with I've been working for the City Public Works Department for about 25 years, and this is the first state dignitary that I've known of. So,
So you keep saying what a great deal it was, and it's just like rubbing salt in the wound because I didn't get to attend.
Sorry.
That's what he's trying to do.
You poor
Sorry.
Is there anything else? Is there anything?
unless there's other questions about the reports. The only other thing I have, well 5, as of today, we met substantial completion. So we'll begin that process of getting
Thank
some
God.
You and me both. Unfortunately, it's phase 1.
That's been a long time going.
So we are working on that. In the next few weeks, we'll start advertising substantial completion and eventually final completion.
Anything else? Any other questions for Greg? Thank you. All right, Police Chief Chuck Bowles is unable to attend as he's attending, the search for the escape. But I will bring this up, but I'm not exactly sure what it is that he is looking for hourly, but you know how we were used and are still using reserve officers. We did talk to Post, and Post did say that we could use reserve dispatchers. But so I'd like to at least get a motion started that we could utilize that, but I'm not sure exactly what he's looking at for hourly. So I'm not sure, like at least give him the motion to utilize them, but I'm not sure what he is looking at hourly.
Is this something that could be included in the budget meeting that we're calling for Monday? Add that to the list of things that we want to discuss.
Well, I think he would like to try to utilize them right away since we are down. But it would be out of his payroll. So I'm assuming since we are down 7 dispatchers, or 5 dispatchers, or 4 dispatchers, either way.
I was thinking now.
So couldn't we go with the base rate for what we pay dispatchers right now?
What about travel and?
We'd have to pay them mileage or something, I'm sure.
He's at the meeting the other night at the fairgrounds, he was saying that he'd probably bring it out of Campbell County, the ones that wanna work on their days off. So,
Well, I know that they reached out to some former dispatchers that used to work here that work in, I'm not sure where they work now, but they're still current dispatchers, but I know they're not in Gillette. So I'm just not sure the hourly, unfortunately, he's not able to attend, but I think if we can at least get the motion that he is able to utilize them. But I just don't know about with the, obviously what we do with the reserve officers for their travel time and fuel, but.
Would it be appropriate, I mean, do we think he's gonna wanna pay them something that you guys wouldn't authorize? I mean, would it be appropriate to just say at the rate he sees fit?
I think
Discretion.
that would be fine because, like I said, it's coming out of his payroll.
We could just say average established rates, and
Whatever
that
he
gives you
feels.
something to go to, if he feels a while.
I make that motion.
Any clarification on the motion?
She made the motion that he is, that he's given permission to utilize reserve dispatchers at the pay at his discretion with mileage and, or reimbursement of mileage and gas, or however.
It's just my.
Or the-
It'd probably be
federal rate.
Okay.
I like
Yes.
that.
At the federal
We'll
rate.
do both IRS, please.
Did that close? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll second it.
So we have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
I think we should put in there that it's established that he uses average and established rates for pay and mileage. Just keep, in Wyoming, he's not from here. No, I'm not that though, I'm serious. We should just give him a guideline anyway. You don't have to amend your motion, I don't care. I'll vote for it anyway.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. City Attorney Dublin, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So first of all, just to keep the council apprised of the Joint Powers Board and the negotiations going on. I think we were supposed to have a meeting this week. Something hasn't been pinned down as of yet, and I suspect it likely will end up being either a phone meeting or it will be a meeting next week. And that's basically just to clear up some of the, more or less the Joint Powers Board rules, the policies, just to get something set in stone so that when the Joint Powers Board does actually come into creation, there will be at least some sort of guideline moving forward for everyone involved. The other thing is that I'm currently drafting a lease. The only problem with the lease is that one of the parties isn't actually a created entity, legal entity as of yet, so we won't be able to execute that up until the Joint Powers Board is actually created. Now, when the lease is done, obviously I'm going to bring it to the council saying that it's going to be the City of Newcastle leasing it to the Joint Powers Board. And that will be for all of you to look at and basically figure out what you guys want in there and what you don't want, etc. One other thing I had is, I can't remember, Greg, and you'll have to help me out on this. It's an engineering company basically on the pump station project that's wanting a title of opinion, correct?
Yes, we have to provide proof that we either own land or have easement for the current pump station.
Yeah. So basically, with the council's approval, we'll be drafting a title of opinion, which is just basically stating the company that we do own the land upon which they're going to be working on. And that just entails, the survey, the leases, any sort of license that we may have, as well as the easements, just basically telling them that they do have the right to be on said property. And if I can, with the authority of the council, I would like to get a motion to be able to draft that document.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
This is a requirement of the Wyoming Water Development Commission anytime we do projects where they fund, where they have funding.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
I have nothing further, Madam Mayor.
I have a question, Attorney Hughes. So Bob Bonner was, gave us a presentation before the meeting. He said that during our special meeting about the Joint Powers Board, where the city had followed the appropriate channels and had advertised it and everything, we were able to make a motion and pass it. But that the Board of the County Commissioners had not gone through that process, and that their vote may need to be retaken tomorrow at their meeting. So that kind of alarms me, because I felt really positive after the meeting to have them not be able to pass their vote. Just kind of bugs me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Jeannie Stone, state that we needed to reiterate that they had a motion during that meeting?
They made the motion, and I felt like it was done.
I thought that they had done that.
They did do it.
They
but
did.
he-
Yeah, because-
Bob was
but
saying
because
that
they
it
didn't
wasn't
provide public
advertised.
They didn't notice, they didn't give notice.
Oh.
The county didn't provide public notice that they were gonna be there in the quorum.
I'm pretty sure that in the negotiations that we had said to do so. I'll have to check with Jeannie on that just to make sure, because if there isn't notice, then the act itself actually isn't. It's just basically nothing. It's null and void. So
Except for the ones that we made.
that you made, yes, obviously. But the counties wouldn't be, for sure.
Okay. That just bothered me.
A while ago, we had a discussion about raising that union telephone bill from 32,000 up to 53 something. Did they ever agree to do that or not?
I haven't had.
We received payment.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Oh, just curious, okay. Very good.
Actually, now that I think of it, I don't know why they would contact me. Actually, we were going to do that, Madam Mayor, if I may. In our negotiations, we basically discussed in lieu of the county, of us not paying anything into the Spillman system, that we in turn would accept the county's $4,500 payment up until when the Joint Powers Board is created. Now, the thing with that is that while it is holding, our cards close, I don't think we would need to move on that until that is created. Because if we accept payment, say that we moved right now to accept payment, there's no guarantee that this is gonna for sure pan out. I'm very positive it will, but that's something, again, I'm just basically trying to see into the future, and I can't do that.
So receive no payment?
No. So we received the $4,500 as it was prior for each of the months leading up until the Joint Powers Board is created. Or when we actually have the dispatch center under the Joint Powers Board.
Okay.
Something else that alarmed me during that meeting was that there was so much talk about contingencies if things didn't work out. So,
I think they were just covering their,
I think it was more of a make someone feel better that it was talked about because of the past.
Yeah.
well, I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too. So, alright.
I have faith. I thought it was a good meeting.
I thought it was a great meeting, and I felt really good afterwards until we hear that maybe, never mind.
You're just a
All right.
naysayer.
Any other?
They got an out, is what you're saying.
Nothing further
And
than
how much takes your money?
Any other questions for city attorney Hughes? City clerk treasurer Stacy Patterson.
I have nothing to report.
Any standing committee reports? Any other business? I know, sorry guys. Over the weekend, that RASDAC, I think is how it's pronounced, was here. And it was pretty neat. When we first heard about it from Teresa when she came in and addressed the council, there was gonna be about 200 riders. Well, I think there was about 400 people. And the school cross-country team got together and they had a fundraiser over at the pool for like a concession stand. The Stingray swim team got together and provided a fundraiser and made dinner. They ran out of food because they weren't expecting 400 plus people. I was given a proclamation from Governor Gordon and was able to read that to the group, and it was pretty cool because it was the first time in, I think, since they started RASDAC, and I can't remember how many years he told me, but I think it's more than 11 that they've ever had a proclamation from the governor, not even from their own state. That they were very happy. They loved how our community came together, or like the schools, they went out and made signs leading them to the school, and we were able to get Pepsi donated 700 bottles of water towards this event, and made some banners that they were able to hang, and when the bikers were leaving, they had banners and stuff at the state border on Highway 16. So this morning when I left, it was pretty neat to see them going slowly up the hills and through the canyon and whatnot. But no, it was really cool. I talked with Casey for quite a bit, and he was like the head of the RASDAC team or coordinator, and he definitely is wanting and willing to come back to Newcastle. So hopefully we stay on their agenda. I got to meet the sister-in-law to the governor. She was there, so she was pretty excited to see the population. I don't think she was riding a bike. She was in, I'm not sure what she was doing, but she was there and came up and introduced herself that, you know, she happened to be there with part of the crew, and thought it was pretty neat that the proclamation was right there. So, but it was a great event. I think the little Newcastle cross-country team and that Stingrays, I mean, they really did a great thing. It was kind of neat to see the whole process of this RASDAC group, and hopefully they'll come back again. Anybody else have any other business? Claims against the city dated June 5th, 2023.
I move that we pay the claims against the city dated June 5th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Please make it noted that Councilman Owens abstained. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Adjourned at 9:05.